Hello. I could eat about 1.5 million of these.
Well, nobody's perfect.
Welcome to the It's a Drama podcast.
Daddy, I love him.
My mother thanks you.
If you can't say something nice.
All right, Mr. DeMille, I'm ready for my close-up.
Hello and welcome to the It's a Drama podcast. Welcome back. I am Liz, founder and creator of the It's a Drama blog, travel blog, and this is...
Brian.
Oh, you sounded a little bit more uppity then.
Well, last week it was, I'm Brian and so is my wife.
So we're back this week, as promised, to talk about what our first year was like when we arrived in New Zealand. Just to give a recap, if you haven't heard the last podcast, go and listen to it. It's all about moving to New Zealand and the process that we went through to get here. And we emigrated in 2009, so that was 11 years ago, with our 2 kids from the UK. And yeah, we got to New Zealand with 25 grand in the bank.
25,000 New Zealand dollars.
New Zealand dollars, yeah. And
the exchange rate then was around about 2 to 1. So
yeah.
If your English pound would have been
okay.
£12,000.
Yeah, all right. So what did you think, Bri?
What, when we arrived in New Zealand?
Yeah.
Well, like I said in the last podcast, I can't remember what we said actually now. It's a week ago or 2 weeks ago.
Come on, what did you think? Don't bide your time.
What did I think? I thought, what have we come to at first sometimes?
Did you?
Yeah, because it was...
Do you think you'd made a mistake?
When we came to New Plymouth, I did.
Did
yes,
you?
I really did. Because we hired a camper for the first 3 weeks and we did a bit of touring.
Yeah, that was
so
nice.
that was pretty special.
That was
great.
It was lovely.
We went up to the Northlands and all over the place. Coromandel, mainly on the North Island, that's all it was.
Mm-hmm.
And then we arrived in New Plymouth, blowing a gale, middle of winter. Where's the mountain that we're supposed to be underneath and seeing, and couldn't see it. So it was like, goodness me, it was a bit chilly. Yeah. So
just to recap, Brian had a job offer. That's why we came out. That's how we got over here. So I don't want to say easily, but yeah, you had a job offer, and that job was in the city of New Plymouth, which is in Taranaki on the west coast of the North Island. Had never been there before in our lives, didn't know anything about it, had nowhere to live. So we checked into a motel, didn't we?
yes, we did. And we're looking in the papers. The internet was pretty diabolical back then.
Yeah, that's weird, isn't it? Because that was 11 years ago, and it wasn't as good as it is now, I've got to say.
Oh no, it's excellent now. We have dark fibre. Might have found that out a few weeks back, what it meant.
So I know you're dying to tell us what dark fibre is,
I'm
but
not
we're
gonna
moving on, Bri. And so what was it like? So we're living in the motel, and we were just trying to find somewhere to rent, weren't we? And even though it was the middle of winter, and looking back now, you think, why wouldn't it have been easy to find somewhere to live? But it wasn't, was it?
No, because Oakura, where we lived just outside of New Plymouth, was you could rent places for a few months, but we wanted something for a year, 2 years, didn't we, to get settled? So we wanted a long-term rent.
Well, we wanted at least a year, didn't we?
And what we normally found, we turned up in late August, early September, wasn't it? Finding out that we could only rent somewhere for 3 months, really, because a lot of them are what they call batches, were like holiday homes for people, really, aren't they?
Just bear that in mind, actually. If you do come to New Zealand and you think, oh, yeah, we'll go, like we did, we'll go and live in a little coastal village and on the beach and all the rest of it, bear in mind that a lot of those houses that are for rent, they're going to want you out by Christmas. So finding somewhere to live long term, you might just have to go away from the beach, do you reckon? Or go away into like a city or something?
But we were kind of lucky with a little bit of help from your sister, who had a bit of decent internet.
Yeah, she found us a brilliant house.
Where she lived, over the other side of the island. She helped us out. She found us something on Trade Me, which we talked about, I think, in the last podcast. And luckily, with the crash that happened in 2008, 2009, there was a farmer that didn't want to use his fantastic house on the beach.
Oh, it was a lovely house that we rented, wasn't it?
Yeah,
it was so
chilly.
Gorgeous. Yeah, it didn't have any heating, and you like to moan about that because you're a heating engineer.
Yes.
So we did have to hear lots and lots of times about how the house
8 degrees
was
in the
freezing.
bathroom in the middle of winter.
But on the plus side, it overlooked the sea.
Yeah.
You know, the kids could walk to school. It was a really nice house, wasn't it?
It was a great place to start
Yeah, and I think
in
we
New
were paying
Zealand.
something like 500 New Zealand dollars a week for that.
470 we were paying.
470.
Yeah.
Right, so there we were then. Oh, shall we just say before, because listen, we're being very organised this week, and we've got our little list written down, haven't we, Bri?
And what tea have we got this week?
Oh yeah, our tea that we're drinking is lavender and peppermint, which sounds gross, but it isn't. It's really nice.
Yeah.
It's sort of like, it's got the coolness of lavender, but the coolness of peppermint, but it's like soothes you, doesn't it? The lavender, I like it.
Yes.
And we're also eating our chocolate almonds, as usual.
We haven't had any yet because it's just after Christmas at the moment, so we're not overly chocolatey.
So yeah, before we get into what we're going to do is do things that took us by surprise. So things that we weren't expecting, because we did try to do loads of research before we came over, as anyone would. And you know what it's like. You're like watching telly, you're watching Kiwi films, you're going, I mean, maybe it would be easier now, but did they have YouTube back in 2010?
Yes, they did.
Yeah, well, why didn't we go on loads of YouTube things then?
Again, there weren't that many people putting stuff out.
No.
But YouTube was there.
See, how lucky now. If
Facebook
you're
was
going to
there,
emigrate to New Zealand, you've got us telling you what it was like. How bliss is that? But back then, we just did as much as we could. We were like, looked things up on the internet, read loads of books, and tried to read as much as we could about it. But still, it doesn't prepare you for what the reality is actually like to take 2 kids and move to the other side of the world. It just doesn't prepare you, does it?
No, nothing can it for that? But it's it was so hard because all you wanted to do was actually be here and have a look around, and you were looking for photographs and pictures, and you just couldn't find anything back then.
Looking back now, Bri, I wish we could do it again, knowing what we know, and I wouldn't have panicked so much,
Yeah.
Because we arrived, and do you remember we went to that swimming pool place outside Auckland with the kids? And I just remember not really being able to enjoy it because I was so worried that, like, where were we going to be living and what job were you going to have? And, do you remember?
Yeah, yeah.
And
we met that lovely Irish lady who said, "Oh, I wish I was just doing it all again. I've been here for 8 years, so it's about the same sort of time now." She just
Can you do your Irish accent? Just put us.
Not really. Dare to be sure. Top of the world.
I wish I was doing it again.
Yeah.
Oh, that's quite good, isn't it? That was all right.
Better than mine.
Yeah. So she goes, I wish I was doing it all again, and So yeah, it's no good me saying to you when you come over, just try and relax, because you're not going to, are you? You're just going to be worried like we were and panicky a bit.
And you're going to be serious, and you're going to do things that you can make mistakes. Like everybody does,
But it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
Just a little. I'm getting confused, you see, because last week we made this episode, didn't we?
Yeah.
We've already made this episode, but we made the big mistake of having wine. We're like, oh yeah, let's do part 2. Let's have some wine. And we recorded it and we listened to it back, and it was just like 2 drunkards, wasn't it?
No, it wasn't the wine. I think what we did last week was when we actually recorded the episode, we just went into it too personally.
No, Brian, we would tell them about this.
Or maybe we should put that podcast out and then see which people prefer. The one with tea or the one with a little bit of wine on board?
So I said, no, we'll do it again, and this time we won't have wine. Mm-hmm. You don't want 2 drunks sitting there, do you, Bryce, slurring over their words, telling you what it was like in New Zealand?
Well, I was thinking of having a cigar and a glass of whiskey on the next podcast, so that's out the window now.
So, yeah, I'm trying to remember what we said in that episode, but do you remember when we got to Auckland and we went to this car auction and bought this rubbish car? Actually, I'm going to say, Brian, it was you who said get that car, wasn't it?
Yes, it was me who said get the Subaru Forester. But,
and it was...
I just thought it would be a reliable car that would just get us around for now, and it was cheap and cheerful, $4,000 or $3,500, whatever we paid for it. Wasn't very much.
I wasn't a big fan of that car because it had blacked out windows at the back, and it made us look a bit gangstery, didn't it? It wasn't really the image I wanted to go for. Wasn't really the image I was after for my new life in New Zealand. But anyway, that aside...
What was wrong with smoke coming out the bonnet?
We parked the car in South Auckland, not knowing then that South Auckland, you shouldn't leave a car at the side of the road in a residential area.
It was a nice area to
expect to come back to it. And we went off on our little jolly holiday in our camper van, didn't we, for 3 weeks? And we're like, oh yeah, let's go back and pick the car up now and we'll all start our new life. And we got back and there's the car smashed.
Smash window.
Smash window. Did they nick the radio?
They didn't nick anything. They just smashed the window.
Just smashed the window. Maybe it was kids then.
Yeah, who knows?
So that put a little bit of a downer on it, didn't it?
Yep.
And then we drove to New Plymouth, got in the motel, found the place to live on the beach.
Yep.
Okay, shall I stop babbling on now and then we'll get on with our...
Yeah, well, a few things that you've really got to sort yourself out with when you get to New Zealand. Obviously, we had a holiday. So first thing you tend to do when you get here, you can open a bank account overseas. There's a bank like ASB or ANZ. They will allow for an overseas bank account to be made if you're actually moving here.
That's right.
Which you really need to do because obviously you need to get your money transferred over. And normally put it in a place which is close to where you're going to be landing. So if you're landing in Wellington, open the bank branch in Wellington so you can...
that's a good tip, yeah.
Get on the bus.
Yeah.
And so you have to go and get your cards. And that's what I liked about the banks. They were very easy to deal with.
They are. They're really
They're just
easy to
so
deal with.
relaxed. But the thing that you've got to be aware of, that you actually have to pay for your bank account here.
Yeah.
If you want a card on it, you're going to be... I think they charge you around about $25 a year for the card service and having a bank account open where, back in the UK and I think in most of America, it's all free, isn't it? Because the banks are so big. But,
I know, that was a bit of a shock, wasn't it? Oh, you have to pay for your card.
Yeah,
but you know what? Same as the blimmin' healthcare thing. I know it's free in England and you have to pay here. Same thing applies. I don't care. I'd rather pay and get the service that you get over here than it be free.
Get what you pay for.
Yeah, exactly. You do get what you pay for, don't you?
Yeah.
So I'm not bothered about that.
No, it's not a lot considering the size of the country. There's only 4.5 million, nearly 5 million people here.
Actually,
so,
Brian, there's 4.8 million.
Or 4.5, 5 million? It's
No,
near enough.
4.8. I looked it up yesterday.
Okay. 4.5 to 5 million. It's near enough. 4.8. Yeah. I was just being
Have to be right.
Hey,
Always
well,
have to be right. 4.8, Brian. 4.8.
There we go.
Right. Okay. So moving on then.
Yep.
You get in the eyes, Brian. You get in them.
Yep.
That's why you didn't want to record this episode.
Okay. Go on.
No, go on. You go.
So moving on. So we got to New Plymouth, and obviously having to get a job. First thing you've got to do as well before you get that job or start the job is you need an IRD number. So, and that was looking at positivities that we said.
Hang on, don't just jump in. Okay. You've got to give me some sort of warning.
Oh, well, I was only doing one.
So we're doing them now,
no,
are we?
I was just telling you what, like a bank account, what we have to do.
Right. So is this our positivities now then?
But
is this the things that we weren't expecting?
It's included in one of mine.
Okay, go then. Go.
Just one of them. Then we'll go back to you.
No, it's not that. I just want to know what the format is. So yeah, go on. So we're talking about.
So positivities.
Take it away, Brian.
I'll roll with it now. So I had to go to the IRD department, and everybody in the family needs an IRD number, which I was like, wow. I remember getting an IRD number when I was in the UK.
IRD, it's like the same as like VAT number. No,
it's your
national insurance number.
Yes, similar,
Yeah.
but it's the Inland Revenue.
But everyone has that anyway, don't
department.
they? Don't they always have that?
Well, not for kids.
Oh, really?
When we were at school, you tend to get your national insurance number when you sort of around about 15, 16, when you were leaving school or whatever you were doing or going on to your next thing.
So Tess was 5 and she had to have an IRD number.
She had an IRD number, yeah. So we had to go to the local Inland Revenue Department branch in New
Oh, do you
Plymouth.
remember that? We were like, oh, God, we psyched ourselves up so much, didn't we? Because we were like used to the UK and we were like, oh, right, okay, today we're going to go and get our IRD numbers. Yeah. So everyone stay in the car, you'll be okay. We arranged it all, didn't we? We're driving to get our IRD numbers. And how easy was it?
That's what I'm saying. So that was one of my positivities, is dealing with the council or the IRD department in New Zealand.
Yeah.
Actually, you get someone that you can talk to, and they're really positive and like, oh yeah, and there's none of this yes sir no. It's just like, yeah, mate, we'll get that sorted for you, no problem. And literally, we went up it was the 4th floor, and we came out in half an hour. It's like, was that it?
We couldn't believe it, could we?
We filled out a few little forms and showed them our ID, and away you went. And that's how easy some things are when you come to New Zealand. It's just not this big palaver where you're queuing up for hours on end to get these things. We went there was no one there, was there?
No.
It was just like, wow, this is amazing.
And we went to and don't be just thinking, oh yeah, it's because you live in that small city, New Plymouth. When, like Brian said, when we arrived in New Zealand, the first few hours we took a taxi down to the main bank branch in Auckland. So, and they were just the same, weren't they? They were just like, hello, welcome to New Zealand. Well, they didn't speak like that. But, hello, welcome to New Zealand. And, here's your bank details. Details.
All right. We won't
yeah, and it was just really, 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 really easy, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And really positive. I'd never forget that lady. She put me at such ease, and I remember the kids were little, and I was aware that they were running around, and she just... I don't know. Yeah, so easiness. Yeah. We're going to say
easy
there.
as.
It's easy as.
Yeah. So, what are your positivities now?
Right. One of my you didn't say it had to be positivities. You just said it's just.
What did you say? What did you call them? 3 things that.
Yeah,
you
just
weren't
like you weren't expecting.
Yeah.
Right. Well, what I wasn't expecting was the fact that all the expats stick together. That was a bit odd.
But you find that anywhere, don't you?
I don't know, because we've never emigrated before, so it was a shock.
You listen to people who've moved to Australia, and the expats all tend to
I know, but I never wanted
together.
to be like that. I never. You're right. Yeah, you do hear those stories of like, but it's actually true.
I think it's just.
What's the point in coming to New Zealand and just sticking with a load of English people?
Yeah, because I think I found that when I was working in the company I started with. They would. It's like they'd never left the UK. There was 2 English guys there.
Yeah.
Well, there was an English and a Scottish guy. So, and the English guy used to go to the pub when he finished work every night, and it's like you could see that was his culture, and and he didn't want to change. He didn't think I'll go to the beach and go surfing, or I'll go and do this
what's
or
that all
that.
about?
It was just so.
Why would you
weird.
move from one country and, like you say, bring everything with you, like all your habits and the things that surely you left that country to get away from that,
I know.
It was, I'll never forget when we were like in Bath, and do you remember we sat down, we're having dinner, we're like, okay, what are we going to change about ourselves? I mean, like that didn't work anyway, but what are we going to change about ourselves when we get to New Zealand? Do you remember? And I remember saying to you, I'm going to stop being sarcastic. I'm not going
that's not going to happen, is it?
I'm not going to be sarcastic anymore. I'm going to be this new person. I'm going to have this... And but I did try, Bri.
Yeah, but we have changed.
Yeah.
But we still find, as in English humour, you find it funny to be sarcastic, but you tend not to be sarcastic with
You can't be
Kiwis
sarcastic
or
with
even
Kiwis.
Americans, because they don't see that side of it sometimes.
I don't know. Americans have got,
I suppose
they
do,
see that sense of humour, don't they? But so I wasn't expecting to. And don't get me wrong, one of my best friends is English, and we stayed friends for through the kids, I suppose, and we stayed best friends for right up until now. But I did really make an effort to just go out and meet other Kiwis, because it's like, how are you? I mean, literally, you see them and they're just like, they do the Brits, they just stay together, and they just. Oh, do you remember that barbecue we went to, and that woman, and she sat there and told me in great detail how the bacon in New Zealand was rubbish. Do you remember that?
Sausages.
Yeah, no, it was the bacon. She's like,
right?
You can't get decent bacon. And it's like, oh, really? Yeah. Well, I'm not going to come to New Zealand and sit and moan. So anyway, that took me by surprise. I think if you're the sort of person that is dreading coming here because you've got a load of friends at home. See, I didn't have any friends at home, so I didn't have to worry about that. But if you like a real sociable people and I've got loads of friends and you're worried about leaving them, then really just move just find out where the other Americans or Brits or Canadians or wherever you're from, South Africans, find out where they are, and you'll have plenty of people to hang out with. I think the problem is the opposite. I think it's being able to distance yourself from those people and just think, you know what, I just want to start a new life.
Yeah, immerse yourself into the Kiwi style.
Yeah, that's it, Bri. Immerse yourself.
Immerse.
You always think of the good words. But immerse yourself into the... Go on then, what's your second?
Well, while we're thinking about that...
Bri, what's the time? What you got time?
The time is 19 minutes, so we haven't really talked about much.
No,
about
come on then,
did.
speed up, because we've only got 10 minutes.
Another one that took me by surprise was when you first get here, you tend to compare everything back to the UK. So you say, oh, in England, at home,
What,
in
the bacon?
England. No, just like anything, you know, or you don't do that like that. And it takes quite a time. And you can see the local people looking at you as if like, well, you're here, mate. You're not in England. So why do you keep repay, you know, and because it's just a natural thing that you're saying, oh, well, we don't do that. And it's like, well, why did you move here?
Yeah.
And that type of thing. So that can put people's noses out of joint. So that's the thing that takes you by surprise is how many times you hear yourself saying, oh, well, in England, you don't do it like that. In England, you don't do it like this.
And do you think you've stopped doing that now?
I have stopped it now. I think one of the times I remember being in the local mobile phone shop, and it was on a Saturday, and I was looking that I went to buy something, and there was an English guy standing there going, how much? God. And
Was
it's
it Harry
like,
Enfield?
It was, yeah. Yeah. And he basically the guy was trying to tell him, listen, for that amount of data that you're going to pay around about $70 a month for your mobile phone plan, you know, because he was on holiday, he was after a cheap SIM. Oh, in England, I can get it for this. And I just happened to be standing right next to him in the queue. And I said, listen, mate, you're not in England. You're in a country the same size as the UK with only 4.8 million people in.
Brian.
And I said, so, you know, it's going to be more expensive, isn't it?
What did he say?
Oh, okay.
What
But
did
at least
you say then?
well, I said, do you want to buy it or not? Because I'm waiting.
You
I
didn't.
never said that, no.
I bet you ran out the shop.
I did. I just scuttled out quickly. Get away from these English people.
All right, is it my turn or
It's
your
your
turn?
turn, yeah.
Okay, my turn. One of them was the positivity and but we've already covered that, haven't we?
Well, we have, because mine was positive attitude as well.
Yeah, you really, really will notice that about New Zealand. It's just, honestly, it can be pouring down and you think, oh yeah, I'll have a good moan about this. Now you go to the cafe, you're like, oh, the bloody weather's terrible, isn't it? And they're like, oh, but yeah, it's good for the garden.
Good for the water tank.
Yeah, good for the water tank though, isn't it? And next Wednesday's supposed to look beautiful, so you can get out and it's just, they will not let you be negative, will they? I mean, it's good, and it's good, isn't it, Bri?
Yeah,
because you don't want to be a moaning old Minnie.
Yeah.
Who wants that?
Well, that's it. Yeah.
So yeah, it's good to be positive, but I've got to say, Bri, sometimes it gets on my nerves a bit.
Well, it does when you're sarcastic and want to say something.
No, sometimes you just want. Do you know what I missed? I'll tell you what I missed. No, I don't know, Bri. Don't look at me like that. Sometimes I just miss just having a good old
British
bitchy
moan.
gossip. I just want someone to have a good moan too.
Yeah, well,
about the bloody bacon.
You can do that. You can do that with your mum.
Yeah, true. All right, then moving on then. So who's
Yeah,
turn?
so we were talking about just that was the thing that took me by surprise is because New Zealand again is quite rural in places. That when we just said then fill the tank, that means that your water supply is fed from the roof. So you basically you're gonna drink and get washed in the rainwater.
That's only if you're rural, though, isn't it?
Yeah, it is rural. Yeah, well, we're talking quite a lot rural, aren't you? Really. So that's the thing that takes you by surprise is the amount of rainwater tanks that you see when you're driving around in the countryside. These either plastic tanks which are sitting out in the garden, or they're underground. And that did take me by surprise. It's like, my God, you can't drink the rainwater.
Did it? Why?
Well,
Why
it just
did.
did. Being a plumber and stuff, you just think,
Well, isn't that the
treated
cleanest
water.
of waters?
Well,
rainwater?
it's very fresh and but you just think.
Like the Timotei advert, standing in the waterfall.
Yeah, that's it, in the waterfall. It's no different
Washing
than
your
drinking
hair.
anything out of a lake where there's fish inside and there's the seagulls on top and ducks and God knows what. So you tend to think, oh, what about the bird poo on the roof? And you just, but hey, you filter it and UV light it, so it's fine. But that did take me by surprise.
So my turn. Hang on. Oh, I don't want to say this because you're going to. It just sounds like I'm moaning, but. Right. And
Yes.
this is your.
This is me.
You're adding to this,
Okay,
actually.
right. I always
You
do.
add to this. The Kiwis are very rude on the road sometimes, aren't they? They won't let you out at junctions.
Yes, they are different people behind the wheel.
Yeah, and so
Yeah.
are you, to be honest.
Well, I
But-
always have been, haven't I?
No, but
Doesn't help having a dad like mine.
no, but no, it's I for such lovely people. They're such a lovely,
Yep.
race of people. It's just they get behind the wheel, And like you're in the car park and they just won't let you out.
Yeah, or if you pull out at a junction or an intersection, as they call it, and you're miles away from them, you actually see the back end of the car go down
up.
as if like you've pulled out in front of me.
Yeah.
And then they'll endeavour to overtake you.
And I'll tell you what, I've got to just say another thing as well that I did find quite unnerving, and even more so now my own kids are at that age, is they let young kids drive without insurance. Young kids here can buy any size car they want because they don't need insurance.
You can buy a 500
How silly
horsepower
is
car
that?
For a kid, super turbocharged, whatever it is, Nissan Skyline, and at 16 you can get behind the wheel and drive it because you don't need insurance.
I think we should write to Jacinta and say, change this rule, please.
Yeah, but that would make it hard for the rural people who haven't got the money.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I remember having this anyway. No, I'm not going to go into that because we're running out of time. Right, okay. So, what my last thing, is it your last thing or my last thing?
Yeah, my MacBook's gone into screensaver mode, so I can't see the.
Go move the mouse, Brian, then we'll be able to
creak.
Go move it, and then we'll be able to see the time. So the other thing that I found surprising, and you might not find this surprising if you're from America. I don't know what the American culture is, but in England, when you're invited round to someone's house for dinner or a barbecue or something like that, you just turn up, don't you? You get your keys in your bag and you just turn up. Now here in New Zealand, and like I say, maybe I'm the odd one out here, maybe this is the norm in the rest of the world and I just didn't partake in it, you have to bring a plate. And I don't mean an empty plate, right?
There's not many places that you can go for dinner at someone's house that they'll just feed and water you type thing. No. You have to take your own.
If I invite someone to my house for dinner, I expect to provide everything. All right, you might bring, of course, you bring a bottle of wine, of course you do, because that's
a box
just
of chocolates or something.
Yeah, or something like that. But literally, you get invited to someone's house for dinner and they say, "Oh, can you bring the meat?"
Yeah,
that's a bit odd.
Yeah, something for the barbie.
Yeah,
or whatever. Yeah, and that's another thing. Barbecues.
What?
Well, they're not like grill barbecues. They're like a griddle. A lot of the barbecues.
What do you mean?
It's a hot plate, isn't it?
Yeah.
It is a barbecue.
Rather than
outside.
like a gassy.
Yeah, like sort of traditional Canadian, American, English style barbecues. They're all got grills on them.
But, I don't really know because I've never really paid much attention to
barbecues. But the Aussie and the Kiwi
barbecues.
ones tend to be more of a hot plate, like a griddle plate.
Oh, right, yeah.
So you don't get that smokiness, do you? The same. You can buy the normal ones. We've got a normal barbecue, as I call it. So, but hey.
Before we go as well, I just want to say that because I don't want to, because we might not get a chance to do this, talk about this again. But I do want to say that when you emigrate, I don't want, because I'm making myself sound as if I'm really antisocial. I don't want to mix with the Brits and I don't want to do this, but it's just, you have really got to throw yourself into socialising, haven't you? Which, to be honest, Bri, I found quite hard because I am quite an antisocial person, and it was just, I think if you don't, like looking back at those first friendships I made, even though I'm not particularly friends with those people much now, it really helped me get a foot in and just feel like I was part of it. And I remember someone saying to me, I remember sitting there crying my eyes out once to this girl who'd emigrated, and she's like, "Do you know what you need to do, Liz? You need to set yourself a routine. You need to say to yourself, I go to the butcher's on Wednesday, I take the kids to drama on Thursday, and you need to give yourself, because you turn up in this country and it's a different life, isn't it, Bri?
It's a completely different lifestyle. Looking at those things of what you do, because you tend to think, on a Saturday, we'll go shopping. And if you go into town on a Saturday morning in New Zealand, especially in New Plymouth, there's no one in the town because they're all out with the kids on the sports and stuff like that.
Do you want some more tea, Bri?
Yeah, thanks. So that's the thing that'll take you by surprise as well.
You'll have to pour it, I can't reach.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you just got to make that effort, haven't you? You've got to make that effort. And Sonny and Tess went to school, and just going back to on the positivity thing. So they went to school for the first year in New Zealand, They started at the local primary school. Everything was fantastic. You know, I used to go in there and help out. And yeah, I'm not going to say they were overly happy, but that's nothing to do with the school as such. It was just the kids.
But the school process was amazing as well, wasn't it? Because again, like dealing with the IRD departments, it was a really good school. It was a
brilliant school.
It was a good school.
Yeah,
And it was
lovely.
just a breeze to deal with, wasn't it?
Yep.
Oh yeah, we'd love to have you here
Yep.
and this, that and the other. And you look at them as if like they're going to say, no, we're oversubscribed or whatever it is. So
that was really easy. But just going back to the positivity side, when I decided to homeschool, I was actually really scared of telling people that I was homeschooling, because I knew that, you know, you've got that stigma attached to it of like, oh, you're just a little weirdo. Like, you know, it's, you know, you've, and I did feel as if like, okay, well, you've come to New Zealand and now you're taking your kids out of school sort of thing. So it almost felt like, but I don't know, it almost felt like I wasn't part of that community anymore.
Yeah.
But then we had our own community because we were a load of homeschools and stuff. But going back to the positivity thing, I always expected people to say, you homeschool? Oh my God, you know, why do you do that? Oh, why? But apart from the odd, you know, the usual, how do they socialise questions, everyone was really behind us. Everyone was really positive. And everything that we've done, you know, starting our own business, building our own house, everyone is always really, oh yeah, that's a good idea. And that's what I love. It's just, you never feel like you can't do anything here. Yeah. Do you, Brian?
Even like going away when we travelled around the world, everyone's like, oh, cool, yeah. I did something like that when I was 18, because they all do their OEs over here, don't they? Their overseas experience. And, you know, that side of it, they all love that thing. Yep. It's like, get out New Zealand when you're young and go and travel, come back and, you know, get your life going again.
You could go out and go, oh, I'm going to start a jelly washing line business. And they'd go, oh, yeah, give it a go. That's great. Yeah, but they would, Brian.
What?
I don't know. I was just looking
jelly line.
I was just looking at the washing line. I was thinking, what could you do? And I was like, oh, yeah, I'm going to make a washing line out of jelly. Yeah. But yeah, you know, they're always behind you, aren't they? No one ever goes, oh, that'll fail. That won't work. And, you know, that's not a good idea. So, yeah, positivity. I'm afraid this hasn't really been much of our first year in New Zealand, has it? It's been more...
Well, it is, because we've actually said things that we went through without getting too personal.
I know.
But these are just experiences that you come across, and realistically, you know, normal things, bank accounts, IRDs, get somewhere to live.
Yeah, just what you can expect.
See what you're going to do, see how your job turns out, you know, get used to that. When you go to work for someone... is that work-life balance, lifestyle balance, work lifestyle. And lifestyle here is so different to you know, you tend to think, oh, I've got to take the kids to a cross-country run on Thursday afternoon. They go, yeah, okay.
I know, yeah.
That type of things that, you know, you're expected, you know, you're not expected, no, you've got to do that hours, this, then, and what have you. They'll work with you and stuff like that.
And do you know what else I noticed as well? Is like when you meet up with people, they don't talk about their job. They don't really want to talk about that, do they? You know, they're not going, oh, you'll never guess what happened on Tuesday. No. You know, they just want to talk about what they're doing with the kids, or where they're going on holiday, or their latest car, or, you know,
fishing,
the size of the fish they've just caught.
Yep.
And, you know, so, yeah, I just think I like that side of it too. So, all right, Brian. So, yeah, have you enjoyed being on the podcast? We've had some nice positive comments about Brian being on the podcast.
Two.
One guy said it was nice to see you allowed out of the corner, and you know,
not the Muppet on the headphones.
Yeah, I've enjoyed doing this, and we're going to be in the future. We've had these ideas because at the moment, me and Brian have got like a couple of online businesses that we've started, and we might just talk to you about those and how we went about doing it, and just talk you through as it's going on, like, you know, because it's still
from a tradie to an online entrepreneur.
Yeah. So that might be something you're interested in hearing about. But we're going to say goodbye for now, finish our tea and our chocolate almonds, and stay safe, and thank you for listening, and we will see you soon.
Hey, and thanks for listening, and we've got, I've added a few extra listening categories on the line, so now you can listen on Spotify, TuneIn, Overcast, Stitcher, Google Music or Google Podcasts. Yep. We're all available. We're all signed up to those. So,
and thank you so much to the people who have gone and taken the time and written reviews for us on iTunes. I didn't even know that you'd done that. And I just went on and there was like a bunch of reviews that have been written. But thank you so much for that. That's so kind.
Really appreciate it.
Yeah,
It's
we
amazing
really
when we get
do.
reviews.
Yeah, we get so excited when we're, oh my God, we've got reviews. So thanks so much. Okay, I'll back next week with Sunny, and I'll speak to you again soon. Bye.
Thanks now. Bye.
Thank you so much for joining us this week on the podcast. We have loved having you here.
If you guys could subscribe to us on iTunes and leave us a 5-star review.
Oh yeah, that would be nice.
That would be absolutely amazing. And make sure to share the podcast with your friends.
And if you'd like to hop over to the blog, find one of the little boxes that ask you to drop your email. I will send you a newsletter every week letting you know when we've released our new podcast. That will go straight into your inbox. So it's www.itsadrama.com.
All right, guys, enjoy the rest of your day, and we will see you next week for another podcast.
Look forward to it. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.